What is going on, Tendon Crew? My name is Billy the Squid, and welcome to Dall-E Mini, monster-generating, nightmare fuel-inducing application of beauty and horror, where you can type anything that you want into it, even a simple thing like the title of whatever you want it to generate an image for, and it will make it horrifying in some way. Just uncanny valley type stuff. Now, this is all an AI generated art type application. I'm sure you all have seen it all over the internet. It has gotten very popular recently. And it should also be noted that this is the free to the public version. There is a much more sophisticated version that is behind like a closed beta type system, but this is what we get as a public view. And as you can see, it kind of mishmashes everything that it can find in its search engine into images that it thinks makes the most sense. One thing I have noticed is it doesn't like faces, so it doesn't really like faces, so anytime there's a face involved, it kind of blurs it into a Silent Hill abomination, and you'll see plenty of that later in this video. But like I said, this is just what you get from Dall-E Mini whenever you type in Elden Ring. You can kind of sway it in certain directions to have certain art styles and such, as I will show here. Doing something as simple as just typing in pencil will make it so that it is now going to generate an image in a pencil-like art style, which I think is really cool. I think that's the best function of Dall-E Mini, is kind of taking different pop culture or artistic things and then transposing them into different art forms. I think that's really neat. As you can see here, it does its best to kind of do a pencil sketch version of whatever it brings up for Elden Ring, which seems to be a lot of millennia, a little bit of Radon with the hair and the plume. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I have also noticed that it works a little bit better on more vague topics. If you try to be very specific about what you're wanting as far as like characters or pop culture icons and stuff like that, it has a little bit of trouble pulling that stuff. The more info it has on something, the more it's going to be able to pull, so more generalized things tend to work. But there are a few things that I think we can get some pretty interesting images out of. One such thing would be my favorite boss fight from any of the Souls or Bloodborne games, Lady Maria, fighting one of my favorite eldritch abominations, Mr. Cthulhu. Let's see what we can get out of that image search. And as you can see, this one, oh, they're so cool. They are so cool. So it actually did pretty decently on this one. As you can see, the faces do kind of that Silent Hill morphing thing. But yeah, that's definitely Lady Maria, and that's definitely Cthulhu in the background. That one actually looks like a pretty dope combat shot. I wish it wasn't so blurry with the that watercolor paint effect, but it kind of adds a little bit of charm to it, honestly. This one looks like Lady Maria actually turned into a warlock and Cthulhu became her patron. She's getting that eldritch power. Same thing with this one. It kind of looks like more of a fusion than them actually fighting. Cthulhu wings, tentacles. It's really, really neat, the kind of mishmash that you can get if you get the right searches going in here. Oh, that one's really cool. She looks straight up Silent Hill there, and Cthulhu looks even more terrifying than what we typically depict him as. Being an eldritch horror, he's not supposed to be able to be comprehended, and we're getting closer to the original source material there, I think. This looks like something you would find in like a haunted mansion or something, like an art piece that's just sitting on the wall, but the face is like worn away with time, or so you think. But yeah, just really, really interesting stuff that you can get. So I also thought it would be kind of neat to try to mishmash different game types together. So one of the more popular characters in the Dark Souls universe is Mr. Artorias. I don't think anybody is surprised by that one. But what would he look like if he was in Hollow Knight? So let's give that one a try, see if we can get some good images of Artorias in Hollow Knight, because I feel like he would be actually a really cool character. He would kind of mesh with that Hollow Knight theme. Hollow Knight's all about that civilization that's kind of being taken over by a outside force, much like the Abyss was threatening to do to Artorias' land. The Hollow Knight world is being taken over by that kind of rot, that blight type thing. So I'm interested to see what Dall-E Mini pulls up for this. So we got a lot of Hollow Knight and not a lot of Artorias. I think we could do better. Maybe if I specify the prompt a little bit in the style of Hollow Knight. Let's give that one a try. See if we can get a little bit more specific, get a little bit more Artorias out of the Hollow Knight image. That one did it. This one actually turned out really well. This middle one's probably my favorite. It kind of gives that very Artorias. It has the most Artorias feel out of it, but it still has that Hollow Knight art style. Let's kind of go over some of these other ones. This one's actually pretty good. It's got like the limp arm going, the swords on the back. This one's actually pretty good, except he's a little bit too thick. I don't think Artorias ever had the problem of his butt cheeks clapping anytime he walked, so pretty decent, just a little bit on the thick side. This one's probably the most refined. I actually like this one a lot with the blade and stuff. It really does do kind of a good job at getting that like dark energy feel going. I don't know why there's two of them, but I do like this concept. Oh man, this one's probably the best one. This one actually looks like Artorias has just slain somebody and is just kind of standing over their corpse, as Artorias do. This is what kind of happens when you get a little bit more specific. I was actually really happy with the stylings we got from that prompt, but there were some more that I wanted to do. Who else is as iconic as Artorias? Our boy Solaire. And I have an actual piece of artwork that my lovely lady made for me, a Solaire propaganda poster. And I was like, what would this look like in Dall-E Mini? What if I actually search Solaire propaganda poster? I actually just realized I misspelled it, but this actually looks pretty dope. This is like, not propaganda posters necessarily, but like t-shirt art of Solaire in really, really interesting stylings. I'm not mad about this mistake. I'm not mad about it at all. I think it looks pretty cool. This one looks like the sun is like the eye of Sauron, and it's like dripping evil down onto Solaire. Some alternate universe where the sun is corrupted, and by extension, Solaire is corrupted by being like fascinated by it. All right, so let's actually spell it correctly this time and see if we can get some more propaganda-esque Solaire art. Hey, that looks a little bit more on point. It definitely has that color stylings of like the traditional propaganda posters. And yeah, I like this. Turned out pretty decent. If you are wanting to get specific with a pop culture character, though, you need to make sure that that character is extremely well known. So me being a huge fan of the Final Fantasy games, there is plenty of very popular Final Fantasy characters. I don't think there's any more popular than our dude Sephiroth. So I was kind of thinking, what could we do to have Dall-E Mini make some Sephiroth nightmare fuel? And I decided that we take the most popular Final Fantasy villain and combine him with my personal favorite and see what happens. So let's see what happens when we combine Sephiroth and Kefka. Final Fantasy VI meets Final Fantasy VII. Oh, these actually turned out to have some like neat fusion style arts instead of actually having them fighting. This is probably the closest we get to an actual like combat image. I don't think it's going to be able to like recreate a fight scene very well, but it's definitely recognizable. We got the both of the winged boys ready to square up. That actually turned out really good. And this one is surprisingly good. Like I said, Dall-E Mini doesn't like faces, so the fact that we got any facial features from this, let alone a perfect split down the middle with the left half being very Sephiroth and the right half being very Kefka, actually is really cool. This looks like something that somebody could actually make. I'm very impressed with that one. And now we're back to the smeary faces. Turning out really neat though. Like the watercolor image actually works pretty well with a Final Fantasy art style. This looks like it could be like a movie poster. If it was more of a high fidelity thing, this looks like it could be like a movie or like a collaboration game. Maybe a Final Fantasy Dissidia type artwork. Actually, really, really cool. Same thing with this. The faces, man. It's so awkward seeing a human body without a properly fitted face. It makes them look... This is probably the best fusion, though. There's actually aspects of both of them into this one image. So that's really cool. That's really cool. I want to play around more with the art style, and Kefka being like a very colorful dude. I wonder if I can get him to look like biblical, almost like a church image, like stained glass. Let's try that out. Let's try a stained glass Kefka Palazzo, because he does become the god of magic, and if he ended up continuing to win, I'm sure there would be churches erected in his honor. So let's see what those images would look like. Make sure I've spelled it right, and let us go. Yes, yes, this is actually really cool. A little bit more abstract than I was expecting it to. I don't know if me having the last name on there made it more abstract, but this is exactly what I was talking about. It does a very good job at transforming art mediums and trying to come up with an image that fits those art mediums that you specify. Let's take the last name out and see if we can get a little bit more of a refined image and a little bit less abstract. A little bit less abstract, especially with this one here. That one's actually really like accurate for the most part. The face is still a little bit smushed, but that one probably turned out the best. And like I said, this one pure abstract. This one's actually really good. And given how mad Kefka ends up being in that game, it would make sense that his followers and anybody that would put up a church like that would have kind of that madness indoctrinated into the art style. Who else would look good in stained glass? Because I love stained glass. It's a very underrated art medium. Who would be good in stained glass? Let's actually go with a good character, like a very pure of heart character, and somebody that Dall-E Mini probably can pull pretty decently from. Let's go with Aerith in stained glass. And that is just as good as I was expecting it to be. Very nice. Very nice. This one, again, if they could do faces a little bit better, it'd be a little less nightmarish. But this one's actually perfect. That one is very nice, very pure. Again, with this one, I love the flower in the background. It actually turned out really nice. This is all very, very nice and artsy and very pretty, just as Aerith would want it to be. Very cool. Hey guys, do you want to play off some stereotypes? I am actually a big fan of Final Fantasy 15. So much so that I named my dog after the main character, Noctis. But we know what Final Fantasy 15 is. It's been known as the boy band simulator for a while. So what if we put Noctis in an emo band? What will Dall-E Mini come up with? Hopefully it actually recognizes who Noctis is and gives us some good images. I want to see him like belting into a microphone or shredding on a guitar. Give me something good. Yo, that is perfect. That is perfect. We got some guitar shred going on up here. We got the boy band itself here. Looks like they're pulling a lot of Escape the Fate imagery. Don't blame them. Makes sense. Looks like he's a lead singer there. We got some album art, some edgy on like hands on the shoulder album art. Line up, boys. Let's take a picture for the band. Yes, yes, and it's it's just his silly hair, his silly, spiky, swooshy hair in every single image. This one actually with the faces, oh, what is going on with this guy? Collateral damage, but yeah, this one actually turned out, the fuzzy faces actually works out better almost in this one. I swear, like 75% of these images are Escape the Fate images. It has to be. It has to be. Nobody else looks like that besides Craig Mabbitt. Okay, well, we're done with the Final Fantasy for now. Let's get back to what you all probably care about, Dark Souls-esque art. And one cool thing that you can do with Dall-E Mini is you can pull things and get them superimposed as if they were tattoos. This was something that I thought was really, really interesting. And I was surprised that it was able to do it as well as what it did. So let's take one of the coolest, a lot of people like dragon tattoos. So let's take the biggest, best dragon from the Souls series. Sorry, Placidusax. I prefer Dark Eater Midir, okay? And let's see what they look like in tattoo form. There we go. That seems a little bit more on the nose for some of these at least. Mainly the top ones, like this one here and this one here. This one here probably turned out the best. Don't zoom in on it. Does not look as good when you zoom in. But yeah, you can see it definitely tries to make that tattooed look. And I feel like Midir might have been a little bit of a harder one to get in there, but I'm surprised that it did as well as it did. This one's actually really dope. I like this one, just like with the swoosh above and the swoosh below, it looks very artistic. Lastly, I think it is time to see just how much we can push this engine. So we're going to combine all of my favorite Soulsborne games into one prompt and see what happens. So let's go Bloodborne plus Dark Souls plus Sekiro and see what we get, shall we? Let's even add a little bit of Elden Ring into the end of it. The pluses didn't do us any favors, so I removed them, and this is what we ended up getting. Some actually kind of neat images. It looks like it's pulling a lot of screenshots from like YouTube videos or screenshots just in general. But you can definitely see the mashup of all of the games kind of rolled into one. Especially this one. It looks like we have both protagonists. Like, this looks like it's Sekiro. This one looks like a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls style character. This one looks like just a straight up mashup of all the characters rolled into one. Like the Ashen Hunter gloves mixed with some Bloodborne stuff with Sekiro's like chest piece. Really neat. Really neat. And again, a bit abstract, and it's really weird that it's pulling from screenshots and stuff. But have you ever wanted to see an Abyss Watcher looking out over the Elden Ring landscape? Well, there you go. You have that now. But yeah, this is Dall-E Mini. You can have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. And if you guys want to have more fun with this stuff in the future, let me know down in the comments below if this video was entertaining. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We will be doing more Elden Ring and Souls-like content in the future. But until then, Tentacrew, much love. Bye-bye.